In this ecosystem, attention is power and moral posturing is a currency.
This is like what your entire video is, though. It's just posturing.
When they can't cancel you for being their most recent version of evil, they'll settle for calling you embarrassing.
I love this really insane conspiracy narrative about how, like, oh, the left just likes to shame people when the right popularized the whole shaming narrative.
It elevates victimhood.
They're literally pushing victimhood by saying that there are conspiracies. That is a victim complex.
People who believe in something higher can't be controlled by people who believe in nothing.
Not for nothing, but the belief in something higher is what makes you so easy to control. MAGA supporters that idolize Donald Trump as some kind of representative of God, these people don't believe in facts or logic or science. They believe in whoever they're told to believe in. All right, listen. In the middle of watching that other Ryan Beard episode, apparently Noodles responded to him. You know, I'll link the other video, but Ryan made fun of Dennis. It was a pretty good video. It was pretty funny. Actually, I wonder how well it's doing view-wise right now. Let's see. The second channel, 300K. Not bad. Now, this was 11 days, so I would expect Noodles' response to be not quite that much, but probably a decent. Let's see. He posted this 3 hours ago. 75. Incredible. All right, let's see his response, man.
Response to Ryan Beard's. This is a response to Ryan Beard's video about me published on April 24th, 2025, titled "Disgraced Drama YouTuber Returns as a MAGA Grifter." Now,
so true, King. So true.
Now, I could waste time addressing every lazy accusation, every sarcastic jab, every line written like it was focus grouped for Reddit karma.
Well, why wouldn't you respond to his exact word? Okay. What's the new strat, doggy? I'm confused.
But that would entirely miss the point, because I don't see Ryan as evil or even personally malicious for making that video about me. Ryan isn't my enemy. He's a symptom. A tool playing
a symptom. Oh, dude, we're going full conspiracy. How do you think the strategy is going to work for you, buddy?
A part in a much larger, more insidious mechanism that isn't just attacking me,
the left woke mind virus.
But everything that has made Western civilization as prosperous and enduring as it is. What we're actually dealing with here, folks, is a culture that elevates performance over principle and confuses mockery for moral authority. So
isn't that Trump's like whole thing, mocking everybody? Like, that's how he won. Did he call Ted Cruz like the Zodiac killer? He made fun of Ron DeSantis for having having platform shoes or whatever. He's constantly criticizing people. He made fun of like Nancy Pelosi's husband for getting attacked with a hammer. Like, what do you like? I guess, but this is your guys are the ones doing this.
This isn't even about one video. It's about an ideology that punishes change, devours sincerity, and calls that destruction virtue. So let's talk about leftism, specifically its current post-cultural Marxist form, which increasingly functions as authoritarian collectivism cloaked in the language of progress.
Yeah, authoritarian. You're right. Trump's not doing that by ignoring, due process. Listen, what I find really interesting is Ryan Beard, and obviously he has some good pull. You know, his name gets numbers, bro, because he's a popular guy. And so what Def Noodles thought was like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to respond to Ryan Beard, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go on to this whole rant about something I think I know what I'm talking about on. That's going to be like my strategy. I'm going to just go like, oh, yeah, you know what? I'll use this as an opportunity to show people how fucking intelligent I am. And I'm going to talk about how leftism is actually, like, how woke I am. Because leftism is actually a bad boy poop wiener. That's like what he's doing. It didn't work. He was like the views. He thought that like he would get enough views to push this or spread this like new magical narrative. But it's just preposterous. And it's just so fucking insane.
This modern hyper-politicized doctrine dominates elite institutions across the West, from academia to mainstream news media, pop culture, and large segments of the Democrat Party. It degrades public discourse through ideological conformity, moral relativism, and the constant rewriting of history and language. And while those promoting it may not fully recognize the roots of what they're echoing, the worldview often...
Every criticism is also just you're too manipulated. Everything's a conspiracy theory because they don't know how to contend with actual logic.
Manifest in their arguments, assumptions, and instincts. even when delivered with humor or irony. Which brings us to the first rule of modern leftism. Redemption is not an option. Your past is permanent, your mistakes are immutable, apology is weakness, growth is suspect, and
What are you talking about, bro? You didn't apologize for anything or make any actual meaningful change.
Ideological evolution, unless it moves in one direction, that being only towards the left, is treated as betrayal. That's why they mock ideological change.
Bro, you're like 40 years old and you massively had a massive shift in your like ideology. That is unnatural. that is the fucking absolutely unhinged, strange behavior. That's the reality, dude. All right, it's okay to have like a change of heart, but like, dude, you've shifted radically. That makes no fucking sense. What are you talking about?
Why they call it grifting, because in this worldview, people aren't expected to grow, they're expected to conform. You see, to the left.
Well, I mean, how does this worldview counter with the fact that, like, I think Ben Shapiro is like a genuine, decent guy? I mean, he lies about some things. You know, I think he was too supportive of Trump, but even now he's like, he talked to Zelensky, he's starting to counter the narrative in the way that he feels like is, you know, his best way to go. Like, I can see genuinity in the conservative party. I generally like Ben Shapiro for his family values, even if I obviously don't agree with his politics. But like, how do you contend with that? It's not just about being right wing. Like, my fucking family is conservative. I love my family, obviously. I just have ideological differences of opinion, obviously. So like, how do you contend with these things?
The concept of repentance, of genuine transformation, is incompatible with a system built on moral exhibitionism. Grace requires humility, and humility doesn't trend. It doesn't go viral. It doesn't feed outrage or flatter ego. Humility says, I was wrong, without spectacle. Grace says, you can be forgiven, without demanding humiliation. But in a culture ruled by performance, there's no use for that kind of quiet transformation. It doesn't give the crowd something to mock. It doesn't produce a villain to cancel. In fact, it threatens the whole system, because
I mean, in order for you to get canceled, man, you'd have to be like relevant enough to get canceled. I don't think that you're at a point where you're like relevant enough to get canceled anymore, man. Unfortunately.
If people can change genuinely and without spectacle, then maybe public shaming isn't justice. Maybe outrage isn't truth. And if that's the case, the entire scaffolding of the left's cultural power begins to collapse. So to a leftist, when someone changes their mind, when they find deeper meaning, step away from the dogma,
deeper meaning, but not deeper facts, guys,
and begin speaking from conviction, the question is...
Well, I don't think Dennis is anybody who ever has ever had a genuine perspective on anything. Even when he was like left leaning, he never really believed that. It was all just like a virtue signal. So I think that different people are going to hold to different ideologies. Some people will hold to the ideology of like some form of a fact. Dennis kind of just holds to the ideology of, I don't know, convenience or victimhood, I guess. I don't know.
Isn't what led to this change, it's what's the angle? Because the assumption baked into this poisonous ideology is that everything must be transactional, that no one acts out of conviction, only for clout, validation, or profit. And that's projection in its purest form, because the modern leftist mindset is
how is it projection?
Trained to see belief as branding and identity as a hustle. And how does that work? It's a system built on repetition and reward. Social capital, status, influence, visibility is earned by signaling the right opinions. But what makes an opinion right?
Probably facts and logic. Like, so what makes vaccines work is the fact that we do studies and tests on them. And we're like, whoa, this shit actually works. It's crazy. That fucking wild.
It's not truth or principle. It's consensus within the activist class, media gatekeepers, and online mobs.
What's really happening is we have a widening gap in intelligence. That's what's happening. We have very stupid people and we have very smart people. And these two different types of people do not communicate very well with each other, because they don't understand where each other is coming from. Like, that's really what it comes down to. And it's all intentional from rich people to keep one side dumb and one side smart, so that they have this like big range in their perspective, so that they can keep us pitted against each other. It's always going to be that. It's going to be financial pitting, whatever. It's going to be intellectual, pitting. That's really all it's going to be. That's what's really happening. And unfortunately, we're seeing like those intelligence gaps more on the conservative side. Or, like, really, more than anything else, I would say the heavy MAGA side are the ones that are intellectually challenged. I would say that, like, general conservatives, probably on par intellectually with some progressives. If your take is, I want more autonomy over my money, the typical conservative perspective, I think that that's perfectly reasonable and fine. If you think that there's a massive conspiracy theory that controls the world, you are a fucking low IQ idiot, and you can't process complex information. And that's why you believe conspiracy theories, because it's easier for you to digest, because you are dumb as fucking dog shit.
The right opinion is whatever flatters the prevailing narrative, whatever aligns with institutional orthodoxy, and whatever makes you appear morally superior, at least in that brief moment. And performing the right outrage is just as essential for influencers, pundits, celebrities, and even everyday users looking for validation online. This means knowing which headlines to amplify, which villains to denounce, and which causes to hashtag, all timed precisely to the current cultural
hashtag this is causing me diarrhea
algorithm. It's not about moral clarity, it's about relevance. One week it's Ukraine, the next it's Palestine, one week it's Roe v. Wade, and the next it's climate panic, or whatever pronoun enforcement is ticking.
Climate panic. I'm talking about like the climate change can't be real because whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, obviously climate change is real. You know, maybe you think some of it's sensationalized, that's fine. But Jesus Christ.
Their side off. These causes rise and fall like fast fashion, not based on depth or consistency, but based on visibility and clout. The cycle is driven by a combination of social media trends, influencer echo chambers, celebrity endorsements, and mainstream institutions desperate to appear on the right side of history. Whoa. And as a result, outrage becomes a performance where the goal isn't to fix anything, but to be seen caring at the exact right moment. Because in this ecosystem, attention is power, and moral posturing is a currency. This is the emotional engine of...
This is like what your entire video is, though. It's just fucking posturing. What are you talking about?
The modern left. It elevates victimhood, not to bring healing or restoration, but to...
You're literally pushing victimhood by saying that there are conspiracies about everything. That is a victim complex. When you think that there's a conspiracy theory about how climate change is real, it's because you feel like the... climate solutions are oppressive to you. Oh, I don't want to have to pay 5 cents for a bag. I don't like the fact that things will cost a little bit more so we don't destroy the environment. I don't like that. We're victim complex. Oh, COVID, which was a real thing. Well, that's a conspiracy to them because, oh, well, I don't want to have to stay in my house or wear a mask just to help other people. It's just ridiculous. I don't want to take a vaccine. My body, my choice. Abortion, though, no, what the fuck? That's another conspiracy. It's just like this constant. It's just conspiracy roulette. That's what it is, right? And conspiracy. These conspiracies are born of victimhood. That's all that they come from.
Extract moral leverage. Personal pain becomes currency. Grievance becomes identity. And in that system, the wound must never close because the power lies in keeping it open. The goal isn't resolution, it's control. Not reconciliation, but dominance through perpetual grievance. That's why they can't let anything go. That's why their political memory is a trauma reel, always playing, never resolving. Every offense, every failure, every injustice, real or imagined, is archived, weaponized, and replayed for effect. Because if the pain ever healed, the power it grants would disappear with it. The power to silence dissent, to frame every debate around moral debt, to claim the upper hand in every interaction, not through merit or truth, but through emotional coercion.
Wow.
In this framework, the most aggrieved person holds the most authority, and the moral high ground is no longer earned, it's performed. And that's exactly why someone like Ryan can build an entire video around old...
You think that ChatGPT made this for him or what? Nope, that's not good.
Clips, past controversies, and stale internet drama, because in his worldview, the past isn't something to learn from. It's something you're chained to. In reality, his purpose in dredging up the past...
Death Noodles, the fucking the anti-woke philosopher now. It's crazy. That is wild work, brother.
Isn't nostalgia, it's framing. Those moments are used as a lens to distort everything in the present. Every current belief I now hold, every video I make is filtered through a storyline of failure and fraud. Not because he's seeking truth, but because in leftism, change itself has to be discredited. The left doesn't believe in private growth or personal renewal. They only recognize confession when it's public, performative, and degrading.
What do you do with like this information? You know, like how do you contend with this absolute fucking conspiracy theory? It's just so unhinged. It's insane. Holy fuck.
The idea that someone might mature, reflect, or evolve in silence and come back stronger is foreign to them. In the eyes of the collective, growth isn't real unless it conforms. Redemption is impossible unless it flatters their narrative. And anything that breaks from the hive must be mocked, punished, or dismissed. Because sincere transformation threatens the illusion of consensus, and they'll do whatever it takes to neutralize it before it affects the herd. Because in a system like this, transformation is a threat, not just to power, but to momentum. If someone can grow, if they can change without shame, then the cycle breaks. The machine stalls. So it must keep moving, which leads...
This is like actually just like a fucking unhinged, like ranting, some fucking conspiracy nut. This is insane.
...to a deeper flaw. Leftism doesn't just reject redemption, it lacks a moral ceiling. There's no endpoint. No moment where the revolution declares, we've won, and now let's...
Dude, where did he come up with this? This is unironically fucking brain rot. Holy fuck. This is literally an enlightened 4chan meme. That's all this is right here. Holy fuck. This is insane.
Build, because building requires stability, hierarchy, discipline, and objective standards. All things the modern left rejects. So instead, it loops. It feeds on itself. The purity tests get tighter. The rules change faster. The allies become enemies. Today's activist is tomorrow's bigot. And when they can't cancel you for being what they deem their most recent version of evil, they'll settle for calling you embarrassing. This is the real function of videos like Ryan's.
I love this like really insane conspiracy narrative about how like, oh, the left just likes to shame people when the right popularized the whole shaming narrative. Oh fuck, the right like fucking popularized shaming again. That's the best part about it, because that's how we kind of got here. That's why the landscape shifted. It shifted from like kind of normal conversation to like shame tactics, right? Like what was one of like the last people, one of the last people left that was like against the whole shaming thing was like John McCain, where when there was one of his people, one of his constituents, we'll say, was like, oh, I don't like Obama because he's just like a Muslim. He's not really American. And she's like, no, we just have a difference in opinion. Like, that's not true, because he wouldn't support the insane conspiracy narratives, right? That's what the party used to be, and it's just shifted drastically. Now, that's all it's kind of, that's where we're at right now. And it's like, you guys are pretending that it was the other way around magically. It wasn't. I'm sorry. But the facts do not reside. I won't lie. Like, there definitely are people who would bludgeon, who would use like factual information to bludgeon people on the left. I'm not going to lie about that, obviously. But like, you're fucking sitting here and you're having a fucking, this entire dribble is all conspiracy dribble. That's all this is. It's not real. Like, what he's saying isn't real or true in any capacity.
To debate ideas, but to delegitimize the person holding them. It's high school politics dressed in Marxist aesthetics, where ad hominems become an acceptable strategy. They mock the appearance, but don't address the argument. They attack the tone, but never question the truth. They ridicule the...
Damn, that was a good play.
Symbols, faith, country, tradition, because those things anchor people in something higher than the collective, something they can't control, something higher than the mob. And that's the real threat, because a person grounded in principle can't be shamed into silence. So they focus on optics, not substance. The goal is to make the set look ridiculous, not wrong, to frame sincerity as cringe.
Oh yeah, he is. What are you doing? What is this, dude? Come on.
To frame conviction as cosplay.
Guys, I'm literally exposing you to this fucking the woke, to this this conservative woke mind virus right now. I'm literally I'm exposing you to this fucking mind virus. I'm so sorry to all you guys.
Because once belief is reduced to a costume, it no longer has to be taken seriously. And the beliefs most often treated that way, Christianity, patriotism, masculinity, aren't mocked because they're dangerous. They're mocked because they're independent. They offer identity without needing the left's permission. They root you in something eternal, something greater than yourself that doesn't require retweets or rainbow flags in your bio. That's why the left sneers at them, because people who believe in something higher can't be controlled by people who believe in nothing.
Not for nothing, but the belief in something higher is what makes you so easy to control. Like, I think God is a great concept. I love the idea of God. I want to believe God is real. It's tough to, because a lot of people who follow the word of God seem to be very hateful towards groups of people that are kind of born that way. Like, you know, gay people. But being religious makes you easier to control. And I don't think that people understand that. But like, you have to understand that you've been basically groomed from birth to take authoritarian lead by a person who claims to be a representative of God. And whatever that person says, you will follow their word. And that's something that people need to come to terms with, because being religious is, being devoutly religious, I don't think is antithetical to God's word. I think it's antithetical to the construction around God's word. I think that God, especially if you believe the narrative, that God gives morals to societies based on what he believes they're prepared for, which is the common argument against why like a slavery or the Old Testament has changed to the New Testament, and like why slavery is now wrong. That is a concept of a critical thought, because then we can explore that and say like, oh, maybe God's speaking through people now to say that we're ready to accept gay people, into the Bible and whatnot. But it's antithetical to the organization around religion, right? Because the organization around God's word is an organization of control. That's why historically they used to not train people to be able to read or write, because you were just supposed to take, religious leaders at their word and listen to what they had to say, and you were supposed to filter morals through whatever they told you to do. And we're seeing this now, where you have people who do not value religion or autonomy or agency that are dominating narratives in society without any actual facts or logic. These very devout, like right-leaning groups, MAGA people, not conservatives, but like MAGA supporters that, idolize Donald Trump as some kind of representative of God, to the point where he feels empowered to show AI things where he's the Pope. These people don't believe in facts or logic or science. They don't believe in all they do. They believe in whoever they're told to believe in. That's really what it boils down to. And so that's why they're anti-vax. They're anti, the earth being round. They're anti-COVID. They are, anti pretty much everything. They think everything is a conspiracy to them. They think the election was rigged. There are no actual facts anymore. There is just doctrine. That's all it really comes to. It's unfortunate.
And at the core of this ideology is an unspoken truth. It hates people, and it will use them as a means to an end. It uses minorities as moral shields. It uses trauma as leverage. It uses the language of justice to accumulate more cultural power. And once someone no longer serves that function, once they speak the wrong way, platform the wrong idea, interview the wrong person, or break character, it doesn't matter if they check every leftist identity box on the planet. They're immediately disposable.
Okay.
And Ryan doesn't need to...
What are you talking about, yourself?
Say any of this out loud. It's just baked
they're dog whistling
into the format
he's just
that
dog
he's
whistling. Ryan's just a dog whistler.
Adopting. These types of videos aren't designed to inform or engage. They're built to humiliate. They function...
Well, I mean, you kind of deserve a little humiliation there, Duff. You know what I mean?
as digital purity rituals, policing the boundaries of acceptable thought. The subtext is clear. Don't wander too far off. Don't question the script. Don't...
No, I think the subtext is like, yeah, wander off. You're funny to make fun of. You
dare change. It's not just criticism, it's a warning, a public spectacle meant to discourage ideological drift and remind everyone watching that deviation will...
The problem that, I'll tell you, the number one problem that Dennis is going to have in this entire thing is that people have realized that he's disingenuous regardless of what he believes in. And so, like, he's already been found out for that. So, like, none of this really matters what he's saying. It doesn't matter what perspective you pretended to hold, and nobody believes your word anymore because you shattered your own credibility. That's what it comes down to. So, like, none of this is really resonating with anybody. And who's watching this? What are even the 75 people who watch this? And I hate to view shame, but, like, what did they even say? Oh, I see a feud. LMAO not fighting. The argument I see. What you said is, what he said you did. He's saying what you said you objectively did. Sorry, I'm fucking dumb. AI wrote this. Well, said, you just described my entire family of woke leftists. Well, this one person agrees with him. Snarly Whiplash G7F. I'm pretty sure that's a bot. Okay, maybe I'm okay. You rationalize the problem and agree with the solution. Grifter, MAGA, Fragus. Incredible. Great.
They'll be punished. But here's the thing. You can't run a society, let alone a movement, on shame, sarcasm, and suspicion. You can't build a future on mockery. At some point, the audience stops laughing and starts asking, what
about Colin Mockery? He's so funny, dude. I love him.
Actually offering? Now, the left had decades of cultural dominance. They control the stories, they defined heroes, and this bitter, petty, exhausted worldview is the end result of all that dominance. Not progress, not unity, just a culture so hollow it can only mock what it no longer understands. There is no joy in it, no awe, no forgiveness, no transcendence, only followers desperate not to be the next target, only activists who eat each other alive to prove they're still pure, and only commentators who mine other people's lives for content because they've built nothing.
That's what you do. Wait, you mine other people's lives for content too? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Escaping the Matrix. Okay. It's all Donald Trump, fucking Kamala Harris, Michelle Obama. Like, you're mining other people's lives too. Gavin Newsom, you do the exact same thing. What are you talking about?
Nothing of their own that can stand without someone else to tear it down. Needless to say, that's not honest commentary. It's opportunism dressed as insight. The more dehumanizing, the more negative, the more scandalous it feels, the better it performs. Accuracy is optional.
That's the more scandalous, the better it performs. There's no way that he said this with
Hi, folks. Welcome back.
With conviction. The more scandalous, look at this, cackling Kamala. Like, this is scandalous. This is sensationalized. And there is a conversation to have about sensationalization when it comes to everything. I mean, sensationalization is effectively what has done a lot of, has done a lot of damage to, is what has done a lot of damage to like our perspective. The 24-hour news cycle that became very popular because of 9/11, when there was a lot of views to be had. This is what turned us into this whole like sensationalization minefield, where everything is kind of exaggerated. The claims in general are very exaggerated, and like, it has to be the next big thing. It can't be like, hey, a thing happened. It has to be like the craziest fucking thing just happened in the entire world, right? Like, this is a real thing, and I can appreciate that and understand that. I wouldn't say Ryan Beard is like somebody who sensationalizes his stories. He's making fun of Dennis. Like, that's really all it is, and it's funny. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm a little butthurt, and that's fine. But like, there's not a sensationalization like network in specifically from Ryan Beard. You can't really apply that to this because it doesn't make any sense. But okay. Oh shit, I hit the wrong button. Oh, blip.
Charity is obsolete, and what matters is the spectacle. It's a reality show on steroids, driven by algorithms that reward blood sport, and they all play their roles, cloaked in virtue to shield themselves from consequence. And if truth gets in the way, they don't confront it. They edit the script to match the narrative. But that kind of machine can't sustain a worldview, because a worldview built on mockery, envy, and reactivity doesn't know how to build anything. It only knows how to punish, posture, and consume. Strip away the outrage, the sarcasm, the edits, and there's no center, no foundation, just fear of irrelevance, masked as moral clarity.
This guy is literally describing himself, and it's almost concerning, dude.
A real worldview must offer meaning.
I think this entire video is just like him projecting. Like I think that maybe, I mean, it's either that or it's just, somebody, it's an AI script. But I think this entire video is just him projecting. That's what it comes off as, because this just sounds like him. This just sounds like what he has been doing. No?
Purpose, a future, but all the left offers is a warning. Either you stay in line or you become the next punchline. But in the end, it doesn't matter how many jokes they make or how loud they scream. The truth has gravity, and once someone sees it, really sees it, they don't go back. Not because they're chasing attention, but because they're done pretending the counterfeit is noble. They've lived inside the machine. They've watched it eat sincerity, devour faith, and sell outrage as virtue, and now they're walking away, not in bitterness, but in God-given freedom. As for Ryan, I hold no grudges. I truly hope you're doing well, man. I pray that you find peace, not just career
the concern trolling. We're doing the Hassan right now. I hope you're doing well.
Success or digital applause, but the kind of deep, steady peace that doesn't fade when the screens turn off. And I mean that sincerely, because at the end of the day, this isn't about winning arguments or settling scores. It's about telling the truth, standing
it can't be about winning arguments, because you can't win an argument. You can't win an argument because you got nothing going on there, bud.
Firm and walking in grace, even when it's mocked, especially when it's mocked.
Wow.
Hope you have a terrific day. Peace.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Dennis. Noodle. Shit up.